Last Sunday, Spotify Camp Nou exploded again. Barcelona beat Real Madrid 2-0, lifted the La Liga trophy, and for one night, the stadium felt alive like the old days. But while the football world watched the celebration, something even bigger was happening above the stands. Because this week, the compression ring stopped being a future promise and started becoming reality. Both goal ends are now advancing together. Lamas installation is accelerating. Cranes are moving non-stop, and for the first time in months, Camp Nou's new roof structure is visibly taking shape. The lamas, those distinctive red facade slats, had been stalled for over a month in parts of the south goal zone. Nobody was talking much about when that would change. It changed this week. Guide strings are now being strung between anchor points across multiple sectors: the south goal, the north goal corner, and the lateral zones. This preparatory step, aligning the anchors before the slats go in, is exactly what happens right before installation accelerates. In the north goal corner, the last slat on the front section of the false ceiling was placed just days ago, and new slats are already going in. The crews have clearly found their rhythm. The pace of Lama's installation has noticeably picked up, and workers who've been through the process before are moving considerably faster than they were in the early phases. The reason the south goal was paused makes what's happening there now even more significant. And that connects directly to the biggest story of this update. Here's what nobody expected to be saying this week. Both the north and south goal sides of the compression ring are now effectively at the same point. The south goal had the first flange installed with its pillar on the exterior. Then, on the north goal side, the pillar and radial beam were prepped on Wednesday. And by Thursday, the missing flange was in. Both sides now match. That's not coincidental. It reflects deliberate parallel sequencing. The next steps are clearly mapped out. Raise a truss, install the pillar, mount the radial beam, then place the next flange. The lateral zones, however, are structurally different from the goal ends. The pillar positioning changes. And that's worth understanding as the ring continues to close. 2 tower cranes are actively moving components. Scaffolding for the next pillar and beam positions is already being assembled. The compression ring is no longer a future milestone. It's a current construction event, and it's moving. If you want to find the busiest point on the Camp Nou site right now, it's the lateral corner zones, specifically the corner toward the stands on the south goal side and the corresponding north goal corner. The density of material here is striking. Flanges stacked and ready, radial beams on the ground waiting to be raised, trusses being repositioned by crane, workers on elevated platforms moving components that will feed directly into the next compression ring sequence. A concrete pump is also opening up in this corner area, which suggests concrete work is either imminent or actively being scheduled. Meanwhile, structural reinforcement for pillars in the diamond zone, formwork and steel placement, is underway here too. This is not one team doing one job. It's multiple crews working overlapping tasks in a tight space, and the coordination visible on site is not what you'd expect from a project supposedly stretched thin. The south goal is giving a quiet but meaningful signal this week. Temporary support props, the shoring that holds structural elements in position during assembly, are being taken down in parts of this zone. When shoring comes down, it means the structure above it is standing on its own. That's progress that doesn't photograph dramatically, but it matters for the overall sequence. On the second cantilever level here, activity is lower than in the corner zones. Fewer workers moving around, but there are elevated platforms on beams, a polishing operation near a material pallet, and work continuing on the piston section. 3 lamas are deliberately missing in one stretch here, left open intentionally while work on that piston is completed. They'll go in once that work is done. The south goal isn't the loudest zone this week, but the fact that supports are coming down in this area is a sign that structural milestones are being passed, not just approached. Inside the north goal zone, the work is quieter but detailed. Bolt painting is underway. Anti-corrosive or fire-resistant coating, applied with a brush or roller by workers on elevated platforms. This step is sometimes done before lamas go in, sometimes after. There's flexibility in the sequence, and it doesn't block other tasks from running in parallel. Guide strings for lamas alignment are being installed on the false ceiling front section. connecting the anchor points so that when the slats arrive, they go in straight and flush the first time. Additional structural material has also been delivered to this sector, staged and ready. Workers are also installing unions for the thin black beams that will carry the sandwich panels in the upper zones. A detail that points toward interior fit-out work, beginning to layer in above the structural work. This zone is being prepared at several levels at once, which is the pattern you want to see. The stand zone, the tribuna, is the calmest part of the site this week by a considerable margin. Compared to the lateral corners, it's almost quiet, but idle it isn't. Pipe installation is underway beneath the slab, running through the internal routing behind trusses. Infrastructure work that has to happen before finished materials can follow. Sandwich panels are stacked and waiting in the mobility core zones, ready for installation in sections where the structure is still incomplete. No new vertical union supports have been added here recently, and the elevated platform activity is occasional rather than continuous. The tribuna zone is in a phase between structural completion and fit-out, not falling behind but not the front of the race right now either. How quickly the core zones catch up to the corner and goal zones will be one of the defining questions as this build moves into its next chapter. Scattered across the site this week are the finishing and transition tasks that don't dominate any single camera angle but collectively represent a construction site shifting toward completion mode. Vertical union installations for lamas brackets are progressing in the lower corner areas. 2 new supports confirmed since the previous day's footage. Welding work is visible on beams in the south goal. Workers in helmets operating in the elevated sections. Sandwich panels, the black exterior cladding units, are staged and waiting in multiple zones. In the upper areas of the north goal, workers are hanging connection pieces for the black beams that will eventually hold those panels. The crane on the third cantilever remains active. Some beams still show white scuff marks and need their final paint pass. These details matter because they mark the point where a construction site stops just building the bones and starts thinking about the skin. Coming into this week, the question hanging over Camp Nou's construction was whether the compression ring was going to be a bottleneck, one of those elements that looks dramatic on paper, but moves slowly on site. The answer this week is clearly no. Both goal ends are now aligned at the same structural stage, with the next sequence of truss, pillar, beam, and flange already lined up and ready to go. The lamas installation, stalled for over a month in parts of the south goal, is actively resuming, with preparation underway in every major zone simultaneously. Material deliveries are current, cranes are running, crews are overlapping. There's no single section of this site that looks stuck. The deeper question, whether this project is tracking toward its target, looks better this week than it did last week. Next week, watch for the compression ring's next sections to go up, and for the lamas count to move significantly. If you want to know whether that compression ring keeps moving at this pace, subscribe. We'll be back on site next week with the answer.